To my right, and whom I'm going to introduce now, is Hennepin District Judge Herbert Lefler, who is a veteran attorney and has been on the Hennepin bench since 1995, including 11 years presiding over juvenile court. Judge Lefler?
Yes. Good morning. As I said, I have about 11 years working in Hennepin County Juvenile Court, delinquency, child protection cases. Just by way of introduction, that's how I got to know Mike, because I handled the state ward calendar, and Mike and I got to know each other because he had a couple of kids that kept coming back, and we got to know each other, and it was a very fruitful experience just to be able to talk with somebody and have a guardian that would come in and show the sort of interest and dedication that Mike did. And I don't know that I've ever thanked you for that, but I certainly appreciate it. The question that, and I assume that I can go into the question that was in the materials, was that we were supposed to give our perspective on county child protection and what are the most critical issues for at-risk children, and how you would change things to help children in child protection, in the child protection systems. And because my training is as a lawyer, if I'm not very fond of the question, maybe I'll change it a little.
Judge, that's what Sarah Palin does. and she's not a lawyer.
She's got much better glasses than I do. I would expand it some to ask the perspective on the child welfare system rather than the child protection system. Because as I sit in juvenile court, we're kind of, you know, if you go to the analogy of the snake, the python that swallows the goat and the goat goes down the snake, the courts are really at the wrong end of the snake. The place, the place where you really make a difference with this stuff is up front. And so I would look at it not just in terms of child protection. I would see child protection as being part of the larger child welfare system. And my perspective on it is that in many respects we have it wrong. When Hennepin County has, and with the redesign, I'm not sure that I have an accurate count, but I think it has 5 child protection units. It had, or as of the end of this year, it will have had 1 early childhood development unit. At the end of this year, that early childhood intervention unit will be gone. It will be absorbed and functions cast off to other units. And it's being done because, quite candidly, Hennepin County is, I think, losing somewhere in the neighborhood of $24 million. I think that's my math or my recollection of the exact dollar amount may be off. That's a lot of money. And those are decisions that the county board and leadership in the county has had to make. So if you ask me what my perspective is on it, however, I would suggest to you that if you are looking at dealing with issues with children at risk, that we are going down the wrong road. That if you were to have a system that worked better for children at risk, you would be identifying issues earlier on, and you would be dealing with them. I think that the paper that was done by the Federal Reserve is right on. It is absolutely amazing to me that this has been around for years and years. Done by people here, done by economists who, last time I looked, and I may get a whole different perspective being on the same panel, I don't see economists as being kind of wild and crazy guys. They're fun, but the fact of the matter is that they quantify things and they put things in, and this is this and this is this. And that's what they've said. And I haven't heard anybody. I have not heard a single major political source come forward and say, you know, we ought to do this. I can't really articulate how I would make the child protection system better because of the nature of the system itself. If you go from a social work system, which is in essence an empathy-based system, to a courtroom setting, which is in American jurisprudence, is adversarial based, that's a huge jump. And so from my perspective, as a judge, I see the tension that exists there. And if you ask me, do I think that the interests of children are best served through an adversarial-based system, I would probably say no. The things that perhaps we should be looking at are things, once again, that are more upstream. In Hennepin County, we use family group conferencing. The state calls it
Same thing.
same thing. Well, it was something else once.
Family group decision-making.
Right, but there are places that are working with mediation. Olmsted County has its parallel planning sorts of things. I think those sorts of things make sense in terms of providing services and help for the system, for kids in the system. But I also think the model that we look at in terms of child welfare is changing, and I don't necessarily think it's changing in a good way. I think that the model that Hennepin County is looking at, and perhaps the entire state, is we're looking at, because the people that are still getting money are public health people. And so we are looking at a public health model, which is a medical model, which is fine. I have no bones to pick with the medical profession. I like my doctor a lot. But the fact of the matter is, it focuses on a child as a patient, rather than a family as a unit, at least that's my understanding, that it focuses on a family. It does not focus on the family as being part of the problem. And I don't know that you're going to get good results by just separating a child from the system in which the child lives. I mean, I understand the draw and how it's easy to say, look at this poor child, and we need money because this child needs, you know, the child's sick with cancer, the child has got fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, and has these sorts of things. That's very compelling. A family made up of a child who's been suffering with a mother who's hooked on crack cocaine and a dad who has never been in the picture is, why should we do anything for mom or dad? Let's help the kid. However, my experience with kids in this system is that they're inseparable from the family system in which they came into this world. And to try and do that, I think, is going to send you down the wrong track.